I'm Liz from Night Owl Crafts Australia, and today we're going to look at the making of gem scones. Gem scones, these little morsels, are not your typical scone. They're made from a cake batter and are made in a very hot pan known as a gem scone iron. For this recipe we need 40 grams of butter, unsalted butter, a third of a cup of castor sugar, 1 egg, 1½ cups of self-raising flour, 1 cup of milk, and I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla bean paste to give a vanilla flavour to the gem scones. Into your mixing bowl we place the semi-melted butter, and then add to this the third of a cup of castor sugar, which is the fine granulated sugar. You can use an electric mixer to do this, but I prefer where I can just to do hand mixing, as I get a good feel for the mixture. So you cream these together, mixing the sugar well into the butter and then giving it a good beat. And you'll know when you've given it enough of a beat because the colour will lighten from a yellow to a paler yellow whitish sort of colour. Once the butter is well mixed with the sugar and creamed, you get a slightly lighter mix. We're now ready to add the egg. Just crack the 1 egg into a bowl and then give it a good beat. If any tiny bits of eggshell end up into the mixture, it's good to use the eggshell itself to get them out. They come out a lot easier. And just giving the egg a good beat. Again, you can use an electric mixer, but it's easy to hand beat and you get a bit of a workout when you're doing it. And that now goes into the creamed butter and sugar. Add a little bit at a time and then just work it in. As each lot is incorporated, then add a bit more. Just scrape out the last little bits of it. And mixing it until it's all incorporated. And we're ready to add the flour and the milk. But before I do that, I will just put a little bit of the vanilla mixture into the bowl. This is a vanilla bean paste, so it has the seeds as well. And we'll just give a nice vanilla flavour to the gem scones. Now you can alter the flavour of your gem scones. You could do chocolate ones. You can add lemon peel and do lemon flavoured ones. Add strawberry essence and have strawberry flavoured ones. 1½ cups of the self-raising flour. Into a sieve. And this you'll then need to add alternatively with the milk. So a little bit of flour, mix it in, and then a little bit of milk and mix that in until you have used up all the flour and the milk. and you should end up with a very thick type of pancake batter consistency. Just making sure that you don't get any lumps forming. Getting lots of clouds forming from the flour. While I'm doing this mixing, the gem irons are in the oven heating up to 200 degrees Celsius. They're put in the oven without any preparation, no butter or anything, they just put in dry, heated up to that 200 degrees and then brought out ready for the gem scone batter to be put in, and then they go back in the oven for about 12 to 13 minutes to cook, so not very long at all. Gem scones make a very nice afternoon tea treat, and they freeze well. So as a treat they can be frozen and then put in children's lunch boxes to take to school. Plain gem scones are nice to be split and filled with jam and cream, but they're equally nice just on their own, and particularly nice when they're straight out of the oven. And then the last of the milk goes in. If you're worried about lumps forming, you can use a wire whisk. But all of this, as I said, can be done with an electric mixer if you prefer. And give it a good beat at the end just to make sure it's all smooth. And it's looking pretty good there at the moment. For the purposes of putting it now into the gem irons, what I'll do is pour this mixture into a jug, because it will make it easier to put the mixture then into the gem irons without spilling it. You can do it just with a spoon, but it's a little bit trickier, so we'll see how we go doing it with a jug. This mixture will make several trays worth of scones, and each of these gem scone irons takes 12 of the little scones. So now we've got the mixture ready to put into the irons. The next step will be to get the hot irons out of the oven. And into the hot irons I'm going to put a little bit of butter. So I've cut up small squares of butter. The butter needs to be put into the irons when they're very hot so that the butter sizzles and melts quickly, and then we place the scone mixture on top. This will stop the scones from sticking to the irons. So we're now getting the hot gem irons out of the oven, ready to put the mixture in. A little square or knob of butter. You can possibly hear the sizzling of the butter as it goes in. You can use mini muffin pans instead of gem irons if you have trouble sourcing gem irons. The best place to find them are probably in second-hand shops. I was fortunate to inherit these from an old family friend. So we just need to fill the little irons not quite to the top. That one's probably a bit too full, but it doesn't matter. Remember that these irons are extremely hot, so don't touch them with your fingers. The advantage of the gem irons up over mini muffin pans is that gem irons retain their heat extremely well. And ideally you do want very hot pans. It's a bit similar when you're doing Yorkshire puddings in that you put those into a very hot pan as well. And once we've filled both trays, we'll put it back in the oven, still at 200 degrees Celsius, for about 10 to 12 minutes until they're golden brown on top. They're a very simple thing to make, but very nice to eat. All now filled and ready to put in the oven. Main thing to remember, it is extremely hot, so I'm just putting on my gloves. I'm using UV gloves, which I find very good in protecting your hands against the heat. And off we go to the oven. So into the 200 degree oven, I put them on the top shelf. And set the timer for 12 minutes. This batch has been in the oven now for 14 minutes because I've filled them fairly full, but they look like they're ready to come out. Just a little browned on top. While they're still hot, you tip them out of the gem irons onto a towel or something similar. And if you've buttered them up well, they should all come out without any problems. This gem iron can be put straight back into use for the next batch of scones, but you will need to scrape off any residual batter mix that is sticking to them. If you don't do this, they will overcook and then you'll end up with brown flecks in your next batch of scones. The scones are delicious straight out of the oven. You can break them in two, add cream and jam to them, or just have them as they are. This has been Liz from Night Owl Crafts Australia. I hope you managed to give these a go, because you'll be pleased with the results, I think. Please also don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.